This tutorial is going to go through a simple process of locating questions in Problematic and then exporting them over to your Canvas quiz maker, which you can then give directly to your students without having to input anything on your own. The welcome or opening page once you log into your Problematic will be this page where you select all of your questions from. And there are a few different ways to locate them. You can search based on some of the keywords that you see here. Specifically, New York regions is where a lot of the questions come from, but they also have other state exams, which Pennsylvania is included. They don't have a full keystone on anything, just a lot of the sample questions, but they've converted them into this program. If you don't want to search over and over, there's a generic search tool, which if you go up here, the settings are for the three different major parts of the subject that often in Problematic. So you decide which version is going to work best for you. I choose science since I teach that. So I'll save that, which means if I go to this drop-down arrow on my search, I can do by keywords, but it's not as specific as you would, I think, want it to be. So you might as well just search for what they have as options. So you can start to see their keyword is in alphabet. It's like the big broad topic. So if I want to go in there specifically and say, okay, I'm testing on hydrolysis, so let's see if there are some questions that can address this concept. And it will give you, if there's more than one data bank that has the questions, it will give you each and every one of them that is available. So just one for this one, so I'll click on that. And it will provide me with questions that all relate to synthesis and hydrolysis. So a very important topic in a biology class, but you can start to see the kinds of questions. There are some just straightforward, all alpha, but there is a lot of questions that look familiar to things that I've seen over state exams. So a lot of diagrams. And if you start looking and saying, okay, this would be a great question, the way to add a question is very, very simple. You just start pressing add. And there's a lot of variety to the similar topics, so I'm just going to I'm not going to really read these and bore you, but it just kind of shows you what you can pick. And each time I do it, it's going to change the number up here if this is how many problems. If I knew that this was a specific test on hydrolysis, I can rename it hydrolysis. If I thought that this was just going to be a test that I have on biochemistry, and I want some questions on hydrolysis, then I can just have a generic name biochemistry. And this is just my first stop. You can go back and forth into different topics, as many as you would like, but it kind of is going to help you just keep adding and adding. If you don't like the choices of an option, if you said, all right, I haven't really ever talked about glucagon, so I don't want my sophomores to be confused by a term that they've never seen because they might think that that's the answer. So you are more than welcome to go in and change anything you would like, whether it's the question itself or any of the choices. If you didn't like the wording of the actual answer, I can change the answer by, I think, double-clicking on it. All right, so it was right-click. So I knew there was something. So on right-click, you can remark that as the correct answer. I'm not going to do that as that's not the right answer. But you can see there are options that you can do with editing. So I'll press save, and this will change the number. It should go up to 5 or however many I had. So now that problem that I just edited is one of the 6 problems that I put in here. So it's a nice thing that you can edit these to your liking, to your wording, if you're not satisfied with how they worded it. So if you feel like keep going, that's what you would do over and over again, going back and forth all you wish and all you want to go through to build your final test. So I'm not going to spend any more time. Hopefully that made sense. From there, if you wanted to make it a paper file or a paper PDF, you can make decisions of arranging the questions in a specific order, the format of the test to save space, and then eventually download it as a PDF and print it out. So that's what I used to do in person testing. But in Canvas world, we're going to have to export it, keep it in digital. So at this point, I'm going to export the 6 problems so it's ready to go into my Canvas page. There are different things that you can do in Problematic, a little more advanced for right now. But if you want, you can create a Google quiz out of it. I have not done that, so I'm not exactly sure of the steps, but it just shows you that it has the capability. And probably a PowerPoint if you're doing it more as a formative assessment and just want to showcase some examples of questions. I guess it will make it into a PowerPoint presentation. We're trying to make a Canvas quiz out of it. So the third option is where I want to focus. hit the drop-down menu just in case if it's not Canvas as the initial version, just this is where you would locate the Canvas option. So I've selected Canvas and I will press download. So this is, I'm working off my laptop, not my Chromebook, and my file that I just downloaded, what I would suggest that you do is you just have to be able to locate it, because when you go to your Canvas, you have to import the specific file. If you don't know where it went, it might be a little hard. So I just look to say, where is it, show it in folder, and it will give me the sequence of buttons I'm going to have to press to find this when I have to import it on Canvas. My suggestion is to just remember that it's QTI, that's how it always starts, QTI, and then the first three alpha numerical things, H, V, Y. So I'm going to remember that, and that will be the file I will import. That will be my 6 questions on biochemistry. So I don't need to open it. It's just for my location. So I've exported it from Problematic, so I can go over now to my Canvas page. And from my home screen, I will locate the import existing content. I'm going to choose from the selected topics here the QTI, so it is the final one each and every time. So I'll choose that, and this is where it's important that you knew the location of your file, where it exported to on Problematic. So I'll choose the file, and I believe it was C users. There might be an easier way. This is how I do it, so don't judge me if you're saying this is not the quickest way, but it's the quickest way for me. So from here, I know that all my downloads are in alpha order, so I go down to my QTI version, and it was the HV, this was this one. So I've done this a few times already. This is now the file for my biochemistry questions. And at this point, I probably don't have, if you have a question bank that you want to add these questions to, then it would be located here. But if you know that this is the first time you're testing on biochemistry, I can put the name biochemistry in it. It is going to import in the classic version of the quiz. You can't bypass that. Even if you did try, it's going to tell you you can't do it. So no need to worry. What I will do is import the file. And it will take a few seconds, literally 3, 2, 1, and it will say completed momentarily. There it is. I was off by a second. So it will stay completed. If there are any issues, like the problem didn't have an answer selected, it will tell you there was an issue, and it points you to the direction. So all 6 of the problems had a problem and an answer selected, so there were no issues. So it's in your Canvas. So your question is, where is it? It's in 2 locations at this moment. If I click on quizzes, this is how I can get to both of them. It automatically will make a non-published quiz with the name biochemistry on it. You'll see that in your assignment here. It will not be published. It takes longer to actually load the quizzes than actually import it. So you can see under my quizzes, it's a non-published. There are my 6 questions. So if you felt like you built it in Problematic and were completely satisfied, you can publish this and do everything. You are good to go. Every kid will get the same exact quiz. If that's how you work it in your class, that is your first option. If you are a teacher that wants it to be more in your question bank, where a question bank is something that you can draw a certain number of questions from when you're building the quiz. If you're like, I don't want this to be my actual quiz, I just wanted a plethora of questions on hydrolysis. So the second location of where it puts these questions is in your question bank. So to access your question bank on a classic quiz version is to go to the 3 dots when you go to your quiz tab, and it says Manage Question Banks. So I have plenty of question banks, as I've made several quizzes already this year, but you will notice here's the second location. So if you're building a quiz from scratch and you were saying, well, I would like 2 of those, I don't want all 6 of them on my test. I put too many that were similar. I just want 2 of those. They're all good questions, so I can build a quiz where I tell it to pull 2 random questions from this question bank, so that there's a different variety of questions out there for students across the class, and so they're not all taking the same version of the same test, and it might eliminate or downplay a little bit of the cheating potential. So that's how you quickly get it over to Canvas. That's really the highlight of the tutorial. If you are someone that doesn't like classic quizzes. If that doesn't even mean anything to you, then you probably haven't chosen what version. But for those that have made a lot of quizzes, maybe you have come up with a specific quiz. You'd rather it be in new version rather than classic version. I don't know if that really means anything to you. But the last thing, which is probably the most advanced topic to do or learn today, if you wanted to, you are more than welcome to convert this quiz into a new version by clicking directly on the three dots of the assignment and click Migrate. And if you click Migrate, this assignment quiz will now be made into a new quiz right here. And so if you open both versions, you would know the difference between, if you use this enough, you know what the look of a classic quiz versus a new quiz is. So it's going to be there. The next time I would come in, it does it in alpha order. So you would see biochemistry with the little airplane or rocket not filled in. And then right below it will be the biochemistry with the rocket filled in. So that's how you delineate if it's a classic or a new quiz. I hope that helps. There's a lot more that you can do, but I definitely did not want to overwhelm you. I just wanted to teach you how to easily take questions from one source and put it into your Canvas without having to type anything in. So I hope this helps you, and I hope it saves you a ton of time so that you have more time in your day and you can be a little less stressed out about making all these different assessments for your students. So good luck. If you have any questions, please reach out.